Hi, Peter Charles here of Hooked for Life Fly Fishing. And today I thought it'd be useful to talk about fly rod handles and how they influence and impact our fishing and why they are made the way they are made. And you will see, there's some personal preference involved in fly rod handles. That's to be expected. But there's some generalities that hold true. And so I've got three rods here, plus I got two more over to the side we'll get to later on. And I want to discuss the way these handles are made and how it works for us. So the first thing you notice, they're made of cork. Now there's lots of other material, and I do understand there's some traditionalism involved in the use of cork. If you look at spinning rod handles, you can see there's other materials being used for spinning rod handles, even on some high-end spinning rods. And bait casting rods can have other materials. So you could make a fly rod handle out of something else, and it would be fine. But the reality is cork works, and we like cork, so we continue to use it. And you can see these Loomis rods have excellent quality cork. I mean, this one has been used quite a bit, and you can see that it's not pitching, it's not coming apart. It's really high-quality stuff. That's one of the differences between a less expensive rod and a more expensive rod will be the quality of cork in the handle. A lot of cheap cork has to use fillers to, fill up all the pits and holes. And you see we don't have much in the way of pits and holes on these handles. In fact, hardly any at all. And there's hardly any filler in them as well. So, that's the cork. What about the shape? Well, this is called a half wells. And this is the well, if you want to think of it that way, this part here. But you can see this just tapers down, and this one does as well. And what that is this is a finesse grip, a finesse handle. It's meant for accuracy, not for power. And so you can hold it, with your thumb on top, or when I'm going for accuracy, I'll put my forefinger on top. And I'll be, I'm just sort of making these little casting motions with my forefinger on top. And it's very, very good for that very fine, short-range, accurate casting. And this is a 4-weight. And you'll see this shape of handle, anything from a 1-weight up to a 6-weight. And that's normal. You'll see this kind of handle because the assumption is we're going to be doing short-range casting up to mid-range with this particular type of rod. Now, obviously, they can cast further. You're not limited by the handle. If you have to cast 80 feet with one of these rods, it'll do it. But the reality is the handle is designed for short to mid-range fishing, and it's built for accuracy. Now, what's interesting is this is a 6-weight rod. This is a 4-weight rod. This 6-weight rod has the same handle. Now, there's 6-weight rods that are built like this. This is a power handle. This is called a full wells because there's a well here and a well here. And this is normally cast with a thumb on top. You would not see somebody using a four-finger grip like I'm doing here. This is done this way. It's meant for power. This is for distance casting, mid to long range. And you get a better grip for a better cast, for longer casts, I should say, with this shape of handle, because you can apply pressure with your thumb on this part of the cork right here. And you get a firmer grip. And you don't have to hold onto the rod really tight to get a good grip. That's the other thing about this particular handle shape, is that it's easy to hold onto it with a relaxed hand. Now, these rods, you can easily hang onto them as well, but this particular handle allows you to get a good grip for longer casts without, having to squeeze the handle and, fatigue your hand and screw up your casting. It also comes with a fighting butt. And the purpose of the fighting butt is to sort of put it in your stomach when you're dealing with a big fish so you can get some leverage. And that's important on larger fish. You need to develop some leverage. You want your handle higher up. Your hand, I should say, higher up on the handle. And that fighting butt gives you a sort of a fulcrum that you can use to develop some leverage on the fish. Now, you can see that this is a 6-weight rod. It doesn't have a fighting butt. But you can get exactly that handle on this rod if it was a saltwater rod. One of the clues is when you look at that handle on a 6-weight, it's telling you that's meant for fresh water. It's meant for a finesse application. And if you saw the same 6-weight, but with that handle, is telling you it's more of a power, more of a distance solution. So your handle is giving you a clue as to how the rod is designed to work and what the designer's intention was for the rod. So if you see a rod with a handle like this and a fighting butt, and it's a 6-weight, sometimes you even see them in a 5-weight, the designer's done that because he doesn't see that rod as being a short-range accuracy rod. It can do it. You can cast short ranges accurately, but it's built the handle to do a different job. So let's move on to see the other ones. Okay, these are two-handed rods, spay rods, salmon rods. Depending on where you are, they can get called different names, but they're designed to be used with two hands. So you have a bottom grip and a top grip. And you notice there's a significant difference between the sizes of these two handles. This is a very small rear grip. And even the top handle is not very long, and you can see the shape looks a lot like this one. This kind of full wells design. You can see the same shape here, only it's just longer. And it has a swelling about here. There's a reason for that. This is called a switch rod. It's 11 foot long. It's the NRX Plus 8 foot 11 weight. That particular handle is designed for use with one hand or two hands. That's where the word switch comes from. You can switch between casting it with one hand and casting it with two hands. So this top handle is designed to make that possible. Plus you've got a little bottom handle here that allows you to grip. But because it should be designed to cast with one hand as well, you don't want this bottom handle to be too large, too heavy, too big, because that'll get clumsy when you're trying to cast with one hand. So you can see this handle is compromised to allow you to use two or one hand. So when you're looking at a switch rod handle and it looks small for a two-hander, there's a reason for it. You can cast a bigger rod with one hand, but it's a lot of work and you don't want to go there for very long. But this rod is designed for one or two hands. When we get to this rod, it's strictly two hands. So the bottom handle is bigger, the top handle is longer, and you don't see that swelling in the middle like you do here for that single hand grip. This is pretty well straight. It does taper, but it's pretty well straight for much of its length because you can put your hand anywhere in here depending on your style of casting and what you're trying to do. If I'm casting a Scandinavian shooting head, my hand will be around here. You can see it's dirty about there. That's the reason why. If I'm casting a long line, my hand will creep up to the end. Now, if you looked at traditional long line rods, and here's a picture of one of my old long line rods from back when I was fishing for steelhead back in the late 90s, you can see it's a much longer handle. And that's because it was designed for long belly lines, mid belly and long belly lines, and double taper lines. So even a longer handle to get greater hand spacing to manage those big long movements that you're using with big long lines. So the design of the handle, even in two-handed rods, changes depending on the casting style and the type of line that the designer expects you to use on the rod. This is kind of a mid-type handle. It's sort of halfway between a Scandinavian type handle, which is a bit shorter, and often quite thick too. They're usually fairly thick. And those long, thin, long line handles where people are casting long belly lines on them. So it's sort of a halfway in between. You can do both with it, and I do. I've cast both styles of lines on this rod. So the handle is designed, and it gives us a clue. What does the designer intend us to use this rod with? Is it a really long handle with a long bottom grip, the bottom grip going way past, off the screen here? It'll be that long. That tells you the designer has long lines in mind. If it's short and thick, the designer is saying, Scandinavian shooting heads. And if it's sort of in between, the designer is saying, well, you can do a little bit of everything with it, which is this one here. So the handles give us clues. They're designed in specific ways to do specific jobs. And so when you buy a rod and you go out to buy a rod and you see the handle, it'll tell you, is it a short to mid-range accuracy? Is it mid to long-range power? Is it meant for big fish, little fish? Because the big fish one has the fighting butt, the little fish one doesn't. All these different things are being dictated by the design of the handle. So whether you're buying these two-handed rods or buying, your trout rod, look at the handle and understand why it's built the way it's built. Cheers.